Thank you all for joining us here on Public Square. And Kalea, I would like to start with you. It's one of our young people here. Talk about when you had your first sex education class in high school, because it pretty much wasn't until your senior year.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know about that.
I had failed PE when I was a freshman, so they made me take my PE class again when I was a senior. So that's when the top educator, Tina Gray, was there, and she was teaching about sex education. And that's the class that I got when I was a senior. And I'm glad that I got that experience, because I'm pretty sure none of my peers, my senior class, got a sex education class like that.
And what about your parents? Did they talk to you about sex?
For the Navajo people, it's kind of, you don't talk about it. I mean, I really don't know why. We have a lot of teen pregnancy, especially on the Navajo reservation, and it's sad. Because there's a lot of teen mothers that had big goals, had big dreams, and they just let it go to have a baby, and now they have to raise their baby. And there's a lot of teen mothers that I went to high school with that dropped out of college and are now working at the local grocery store just to support their family. And it's sad. It's really sad.
Knox, I want to turn to you. You're from the same geographic area. You're 13. Have you had any sex ed yet?
Not really. I mean, we had like a puberty class about it was maturation class for like 45 minutes. And I think they're getting to the point now, like in 8th grade, that they're going to start talking about it. But really, there hasn't been anything.
But you're 13, are your classmates sexually active?
I mean, I haven't had someone like my friend or anyone come up to me and say it, but through rumors and stuff, yeah.
So they're not really learning any of that either, and they're starting to be sexually active.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that your mom is here with you, Rachel, so you probably got a little bit more information.
Yeah,
than
definitely.
Some kids get from their parents. What do you think about the idea of well, we shouldn't be teaching you that young? I mean, we're going to teach you how to have sex.
Well, I don't feel that way at all, because once you learn about it, it kind of makes you not want to have sex, because there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong.
Okay. Rachel, we'll talk about what the landscape is in this Four Corners area and why capacity builders wanted to get involved.
Okay. Teen birth rates in our county, in our community, are double the national average on average. And we're in this state that is also double, triple the national average. If we have a conservative community and we're not teaching our young people about sex just as a scientific approach, just isn't that interesting? They're just, all they do is consume media on the internet. They have access to pornography at will, no cost. They have all of these images on television telling them what's pretty, that sex is good, and if you have sex, you're awesome, and if you don't, then you're weird. I think, and we as an organization believe, that empowering youth with comprehensive positive youth development results in all sorts of good outcomes, including reductions in sexual activity, reductions in consumption of controlled substances, increase in perceptions of risk associated with those things.
You start with 6th graders, so what's the impact? Do you have a story maybe about a young person impacted?
Absolutely. We have one young man who was a young Casanova in his school, and he was very...
How old was he?
He was 14, and clearly sexually active, not shy about that at all. We did the STI basketball game from Wyman's Teen Outreach Program, where you have a basketball and there's different STIs, and you pass it to each other, and everybody contracts all of these sexually transmitted infections in that game. This young man's jaw hit the floor. He said, okay, what do I do? Tell me about those condoms again. And so he said, I'm never going to do that again, because he was very promiscuous and not at all, shy about that fact. But it was really impactful for him to learn about how those things are transmitted and how easily they can be protected.
Do you work within the schools to offer this curriculum?
We do.
Okay. What was going on before that? It sounds like, was it like Knox's school? They just weren't getting a lot?
Yeah, so they would have a assembly style, non-medically accurate, abstinence-only programming. And so we banded together and went to the schools and made a very strong case for comprehensive and medically accurate, at least sex ed, at least comprehensive, at least medically accurate. Let us please just be medically accurate. If adults can't speak plainly about sexuality, anatomy, physiology, and just the scientific basis of it all, then why would youth take it with any seriousness? Why would they be able to make choices for themselves?
I want to turn to Kira because you're in Albuquerque,
Yes.
in Albuquerque Public Schools. It's a bit of a different reality than Farmington or Hobbs, as we'll hear. How does that compare to your experience so far? You're a sophomore.
Yeah, well, you said that you like haven't had any sex ed, and through my experience, I've had like 3 years of it already. So like 5th grade, 7th grade, and 9th grade. And for the most part, it's all been medically accurate and covering the wide plethora of information on how to be safe and healthy and make smart choices. And while there has been some slight like abstinence-only approaches, for the most part, I think it's been a better approach than that.
Are people in your class sexually active?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And I think for the most part, they are safe and doing it in a way that's preventative for
They can access
STDs and
okay.
yeah, and they can access ways they can access like condoms and information on how to be healthy about it. And I think that the sex ed education in APS has hugely contributed to the students making those decisions.
Now, you also have a benefit having a mom who's a nurse,
I mean, I also, yeah.
who's also an advocate.
Yeah.
Suzanne, even though we hear this about APS, you got involved in this some years ago when Kira was younger.
Right.
You weren't satisfied with what was happening?
Yeah, it's great to hear her, be so positive about it. As a parent, when I have 2 children, my son, they both went to an elementary school, and when he was in 5th grade, I was approached by the 5th grade teachers because they knew me as a nurse practitioner and health advocate, and they wanted me to do the sex ed talk in the 5th grade. And as I was honored that they wanted me to do it, but I felt like it was completely inappropriate. I think that they should, if they're not comfortable, they should learn how to be. They should have the resources to be comfortable. It's not appropriate for me as a parent to go into my child's classroom and be providing this sensitive information. And what do they know? I could be a nurse that works at the cancer center. How would I know about teenage reproductive health issues? So I thought it was really strange. And then they ended up with some random mom who went in and talked. I have no idea what that person said. I don't even know if she was provided the standards and benchmarks for 5th grade sex education. So I was pretty upset about that, and I ended up joining the School Health Advisory Council and ended up on a pretty controversial reproductive health committee, and we were trying to advocate for all the school nurses in Albuquerque Public Schools to be able to provide condoms, and we were not successful in that effort.
Liza, you get tapped to do this. Can you just give us an idea of what the standards are in New Mexico?
Yeah.
And sort of what the landscape is we're talking about?
So Planned Parenthood and the Responsible Sex Education Institute of Planned Parenthood worked with PED to develop the health education standards. In Santa Fe, we have an educator there who works closely with Santa Fe Public Schools, and they've developed a curriculum in conjunction with Impact, Personal Safety, and Solace Crisis Treatment Center to do full weeks of programming with the Santa Fe Public School students across the board. Everyone in Santa Fe Public Schools, middle and high school, they have this curriculum developed. So it's standardized there. Here in Albuquerque, we don't have the same agreement with APS. We would love to, and to start talking about ways we can institutionalize complete sex education, medically accurate sex education in partnership with APS. Currently, it's not dictated by the school district, it's not even dictated by the school. We set up conversations with specific teachers inside the school. So it's completely in the realm of possibilities. The same two students, same grade, could be at the same school and have different health teachers and might receive completely different sex education and sexual health information.
When you mentioned Santa Fe, they have Impact Personal Safety and Solace Crisis Treatment Center. So that curriculum is beyond just talking about biology and contraception. It sounds like they're talking about healthy relationships. They're talking about making choices. Is that what a comprehensive program should look like?
Yeah, a comprehensive program should look like a complete sex education program, medically accurate, that goes beyond just how to put a condom on, but talks about how to have conversations with partners and family. Planned Parenthood supports families in having these conversations. We think it's very important that the conversations don't end in the classroom, that we are incorporating community and family involvement, and we want to help support and build that bridge.
Well, what if kids, you're getting this information, what if they don't want to have sex and they're getting all this information when they're 12 or 13?
Great question. So a part of any complete sex education curriculum should include abstinence. We always teach abstinence, but teaching abstinence alone will not reduce rates of sexually transmitted infections, and it does not reduce rates of unintended pregnancy. So in order to make sure all students are getting the information they need, whether it be now or perhaps in 5, 10, 15 years, whenever they choose to make that decision, that they have that correct and complete information so they can make the best decisions for themselves. And we need to start trusting youth to make those decisions. But if they're going to, they need all of the information.
Yeah. Phoebe, you are from Lee County, from Hobbs,
yes.
And traditionally you've had among the highest teen pregnancy rates and STI rates.
Hobbs had an abstinence-only curriculum that really was only with 5th graders doing an anatomy thing and 6th graders where the nurses could not use the word sex. So that is not valuable sex ed. So we were able to present all the statistics about how Lee County was triple the state's rate in the 15 to 17-year-old category in birth rates, and that this is just not good policy. Half these girls especially are leaving school. They're not graduating. That's not good for your community. The boys leave too, but more often the burden is on the girls, is on the mom.
How were you able to shift the idea that it had to be abstinence only? I mean, how can you guys do that?
Once you present facts, once you start presenting the facts that here's where Lee County is, here's where New Mexico is, and at that time New Mexico was #1, and New Mexico goes between about 1 and 3. Then you look at the US rates, and it's shocking. You start presenting this information to a school board, and they're going to look twice or 3 times. So the policy was changed away from abstinence only to abstinence plus. And there are 2 very good programs. One is It's Your Game for 7th and 8th graders, and Safer Choices is the 10th and 11th grade program, and they're taught by the science teachers. It's very factually based.
As it boys and girls together in the classes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So why?
So boys and boys are part of the sex ed program, but our youth development program is focused on girls. Well, the girls are the ultimate gatekeepers.
Okay.
So if you can start working with girls in the 5th grade, which is what we do, you have girls who are starting to make decisions. Am I going to focus on academics, or am I just going to have a lot of fun?
So you've lowered the pregnancy?
The pregnancy rate is less. It's lowered. But that has got to be attributed to a lot of different things.
Okay.
But when we look at the girls who've gone through our programs, the rates are down significantly. Our oldest girls are now seniors, and the girls ask very informed questions. You have the very informed questions like group sex and STDs. Then you have the girls who really think their mom swallowed a pumpkin seed. So you have this. And when we first started our research, even Oprah magazine did this great article on how 85% of girls say they have not had the sex talk. But parents think they've had the sex talk if they say, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And that's not the sex talk.
What about accessing birth control in Farmington or Lee County?
Well, it's tough in Hobbs. I don't know what it's like in...
You can go to New Mexico Department of Health and they can refuse nobody for any reason, socioeconomic class, whatever. They have a bowl of condoms on the check-in desk. all birth control is free to anybody who comes in and wants.
Well, we have that in Hobbs, but it's a month wait.
Oh,
To get an appointment. Well, a month's too long.
Kendrick, why did you want to have Planned Parenthood come in and do this more comprehensive?
When our team started talking, we've built our charter school from the ground up. We were growing from K3 to K8, and it became very clear with the behaviors that we were seeing within our students. I was like, we got to start talking about sex ed in 5th grade. And our model is hands-on, experiential, although we did not take that approach with this.
That's probably good.
Exactly. We're like, so when I started looking for resources, I found Planned Parenthood, of course, and Persephone Wilson, and I had a good conversation. And it resonated just so deeply with what our needs were: a very comprehensive, medically based, developmentally appropriate reproductive health and wellness program.
What was the impact on the kids that you saw by offering this?
2 of our middle school students disclosed their sexual orientation to their peers. Their peers then, round of applause, and baked them cookies and had celebrated their coming out.
Would that, could I ask Knox or Kalea, is that something that ever comes up for you yet in your experience? Kalea?
Yeah, I had one of my best friends, he's gay, and I also have a couple 2 lesbian friends that came out when they were in high school.
Okay.
But the funny thing was my my gay best friend, he didn't tell his parents, but he told the whole school. He didn't really tell the whole school, he was. I mean, everyone knew it. It was obvious that he had a preference for males instead of girls, and everyone was totally fine with it. Everyone accepted it. We had a couple lesbians that would walk around the school too. They would hold hands. No one discriminated against them. No one was mean to them. Everyone was just happy, and they were just like, oh, cool.
And I feel the same way. Like, there is some gay and lesbian chicks at our school, but like nobody like discriminates them. But like we are a Christian-based like community, and like some of them like try to judge them, and I stick up for them because I don't really care that much. You can do whatever you want, but the school, like, they don't go into depth about anything, and I find that strange.
Sex education across New Mexico, we need to raise the standards, that it's not being applied in schools, but those problems are particularly amplified for students who don't fit the typical mold, or in the eyes of the school district, they don't. Sex education programs or even healthcare centers offer pregnancy prevention when they're trying to do outreach to youth, and that doesn't fit the reality of all queer and trans students, that pregnancy won't be a reality in terms of the people that they're having sex with. So we also, when we're looking at sex education, need to make sure that we're reflective of the identities that students are coming with to the classrooms and in our communities.
So what are the other gaps? What do we need to be?
So statewide, legislatively, a bill was passed in 2007 with Mary Helen Garcia to establish statewide standards and benchmarks for sex education. And those standards and benchmarks are great. And the thing is that they're great on paper. What we really need is enforcement mechanisms to make sure that in our schools, comprehensive, medically accurate, age-appropriate sex ed is being taught.
Caitlin, your organization runs school-based health centers in some of the APS schools. What about the standards that we have now in PED? I mean, do they get us where we need to be? Is it a matter of putting more in, or is it a matter of focusing on making sure the standards we have are?
I think part of it is enforcement, as she mentioned, but I think we really need to look at a wider lens. I think we tend to pull teen sexuality and sex education out of the picture and separate it, rather than seeing it as integral to adolescent health and to the bigger picture of health. Sex education is really the kind of the vehicle to encourage kids and model for youth that they should be engaged in their health. And we do a lot of work with school-based health centers across the state, not just in APS, but about engaging young people in their health and being able to make their own decisions about health. And it's not just about sexuality or sex, but the bigger picture. How are we interacting with the systems? How are we accessing healthcare? Do you know how to access healthcare? Can we support students through the classroom, through school-based health centers, to give them more practice so that they're prepared to make decisions when they're adults?
If you can just get these kids to start making get them to wait so that there's not a baby involved, because that gets really dangerous, because generally the children of teens are much more vulnerable to abuse. They're not going to be ready for school.
I think that might speak more to how we support our young parents in our communities than the young parents themselves.
Well, too often they get stuck in poverty because they don't have a high school education. 8 out of 10 dads are never involved. I mean, it's sad.
I think that's where we need to be offering something more to students. What are we offering in communities? I think you mentioned this earlier, that your teacher had a list of opportunities for civic engagement. That is so critical.
It's so important.
Right.
So this is a much wider, as I'm getting from you, when we're talking about comprehensive sex education, it's not just biology and contraception. It's all of these larger issues that are the constellation in which they're making these decisions.
We at Young Women United believe that sex education should occur over a lifetime. In our state that is majority people of color, I think we need to look at what are the traditional ways that people practice. One of our national partners, the Native Youth Sexual Health Network, they're restoring coming of age ceremonies, that it was traditional for the elders in Native communities to pass on these lessons about healthy relationships, about what it is to build a community about sex, and those are the traditional ways. But how we can restore some of those traditions, particularly in our communities of color here in New Mexico, that are of storytelling and building really things from the family.
Well, we're going to halt for the moment and continue this conversation after we bring in a couple more folks from the public schools districts and the LFC, so sit tight.